At one point while I was a teacher, Arizona was 51st in the nation. That's behind everybody else and Puerto Rico. Now I hear we're 52nd, which is some accomplishment, I'm sure. I know that as long as we have a country that's controlled by a drug war, every one of us is a victim of the drug war. And like, if you watch on the city streets and see the people who are walking by, every one of them is a victim of the drug war, whether it's directly their lives or somebody in their family, or just the way that the police control their neighborhood. You look at the big riots that we've seen that are race-related, they're also drug-related, because the cops say that they were heavily governing this area because it was narcotic traffic, drug. So, having spent my life with this, I was really compelled to taking it on as an issue. I've also faced arrest with marijuana. I had a marijuana-related DUI when I was 24. You know? So it's not just an abstract issue for me. It's part of my life, fighting this. For a number of years, I worked with this organization, Safe Arizona, and represented the activist community in the drafting of MPP's ballot measure. We have a copy here. I opened it for this woman who wanted to know about the section on the marijuana fund. I can pretty much tell you where most things are, because for a long time I worked on representing this. Recently, our organization made an interesting choice, Safer made an interesting choice to break away from all the work we had done with MPP, now over a year's work with MPP, to back a different ballot measure. At that point, I said that I could not back it. There's a couple of basic things, because you're going to have a lot of people discussing marijuana in this debate here in Arizona. Going to have a lot of people trying to compare the two. And I want to just bring up three basic points. One, in a red state trying to turn green, your numbers have to be not scary. For a long, long time, we had to fight to get personal cultivation back into MPP's ballot measure. Personal cultivation, at one point we talked about a state registry. Some states, the activist community have only gotten that far, and that's as far as they're going to be able to get. We succeeded with getting 6 plants per person, 12 plants per household. This other ballot measure asked for 12 plants per person and unlimited per household. And I think that that's going to scare off voters that I need.
Right.
It also talks about how you change from our existing medical marijuana market to an adult use market. And this is a critical thing. Remember, people with these green cards only represent about 10% of the smokers in Arizona. And we only about 30% of the card holders use the dispensaries. So right now, legal marijuana is a very small part of an existing market. An existing market. There's marijuana going on all around us. We have to have some way for these businesses to change from being black market to legitimate market. From patients becoming, consumers being criminals to consumers becoming consumers. So the existing medical marijuana program is indeed a vertical monopoly. Meaning, if you own a dispensary license in one area, you control all the production of marijuana from the seed to the sale. MPP, and Carlos and I discussed this early on, had broken the system into 5 discrete different business components, opening up licenses potentially to thousands of people. We have to have this kind of structure to back this change. Unfortunately, the other group has said instead of starting out with 150 licenses and expanding from there, they want to start out with 1,500. Again, that's something that I know. I come from a red part of the state. I know that the antis do not want to see a pot shop on every corner. Look at my mouth. You can almost see Sheila Polk saying these words. Okay. So, these components, along with some other things, caused me to have problems with the language. But a campaign is more than just language. Campaign has to have legs and has to have funding. NPP has this tremendous record. 8 of their last 11 ballot measures they've won. This is an issue where citizens figure out how to change the world within the power structure. There's few issues in America where citizens have as great a success as marijuana reform. I have been a congressional candidate because I wanted to change America in a wide variety of ways. I decided to focus my life, my wife's life, and mine for this couple of years because this is an issue that we can win on if we take the right approach, if we have a strong enough campaign, if we have language that's not going to scare away the public. So I decided to devote my time fully to MPP's campaign. So I had to leave Safe Arizona because they wanted to go this other way. I wish my former colleagues really well, but I believe that if you're going to make a difference in Arizona and get marijuana legal, it's going to have to be with a robust campaign that has a lot of support. And so towards that end, Carlos was mentioning, if you want to be a volunteer, I'm helping with the volunteer part of the campaign. I got the guidelines for how to be a petition distributor. I got the sign-up sheets that we request you fill out. And yes, we're requesting those from everybody. Yesterday I got State Representative Juan Mendez to fill out one of these sheets because he's already a champion on marijuana, filed 2 bills over the last 2 sessions to try to support it. Please keep in mind, this is something that you can care about at all sorts of different levels. Earlier when I asked you to take the photograph, to Twitter about that, or Facebook it, or Instagram, or whatever, that's a very small component next to what Carlos is going to spend the next 16 months beating his head against the wall on. But we can all do something to advance this. I appreciate you guys taking the time. If you live in any county such as Coconino, Yavapai, Yuma, Pinal, Mojave, or Maricopa, I have active petitions right now. If you want to start taking petitions, please talk to us to get these forms. Sir?
I just wanted to hit on one point that you mentioned. You mentioned the other initiative. And that's something that is going to take up our time. It's going to take up resources that we don't really want to spend, that we don't have to spend on this. So my view towards it is, look, we're thrilled that Arizonans are having this conversation over and over. The demand for reform is there, and we're ready to take it with our initiative. We're working on it every day. We have the backing to do it. So my advice is, the other initiative, great. They want to legalize marijuana too, fantastic. We're working on our initiative. The reason I'm saying that is because not only do we have the resources and the connections to pass it through ballot initiative, to put it on the actual ballot, but their efforts, like I said, they're very idealistic. They're very far-fetched from what Arizonans are actually going to accept and put on the ballot. So, like I said, anybody asks you about the other ballot, I think we're thrilled that people are having the conversation, but we're working on ours.
I went to a meeting where they were talking about the other initiative.
Yes.
And I haven't gone to those meetings since. The argument in between, it was like a ego thing. The lead speaker actually said, we have no hope to pass this in 2016. What are we doing with our time and effort if they say there's no hope? Even if we lose, I want to believe there's a chance that we can change things.
Well,
I think he was talking about his own initiative.
I appreciate that concern. Arizona, as Carlos mentioned, only won by 4,400 votes in 2010. It's 6 years later, and that's like lifetime in 21st century politics. It's a real big change, but if you look at the demographics of the state in general, we have to do something that we can win.
Yes, I agree. But the arguing, I can't understand. I was reading about, you guys had posted about the 2 initiatives. Which one would you vote for? And a lot of people said, well, we vote for both.
If people, let's say, if both were to get on the ballot,
right,
and both were to pass, then the one, and there was conflicting language, and there is, then the one that got the most votes would be the one that
that's
took
how they
force.
would decide?
Yes. Jason, I gotta say, I really appreciate the struggle of putting together a campaign. Whether or not I'm going to back his campaign, my wife and I have run 5 different campaigns, so I know what he's taken on his shoulders. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions for Michael?
Next time you talk to one of the other groups,
given the speech you gave tonight, because it was far better than the one at BCC last week.
Yeah.
You would have kind of actually turned some heads your way with the argument that you made tonight, which was an excellent argument. And you made a good argument on last Wednesday, but tonight's argument was, you might have had some people actually, there's a point there.
Yeah.
So
There's
just-
a thing.
Well,
You've got 3
last
points
week,
there.
Safer decided we needed to split up, and
It was all
the
wrong.
that was kind of like the theater of, now Michael's not with us anymore.
Right. I
Yeah.
understand.
Which was a tough act to do.
Thank you for your support.
My,
Yeah, so everybody,
Thank you.
I completely feel what he's going through.
Oh my God.
I've
yes.
been through it myself. You know, it's just what it is standing up for what we believe is the sensible vehicle to get us to progress.
Right.
And that's all it's ever been about. I don't want to take up too much more time. I want to say I do believe I am having a signature. We've kind of talked about signature drives and stuff, so I would kind of started one. I thought we were going to get petitions here,
Yeah.
but I
No, there are-
understand
there are-
we
We're
can
here.
do, okay, we
Yeah.
can sign. But I am conducting one also at Arizona Natural Selections this weekend. For anybody that wants to join me from 9 to 1 at Arizona Natural Selections, it's at Peoria and the 101 freeway on the west side there in Peoria, real close to Sun City. It's,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
I'll
very,
bring it to
very
you.
close. I have a tent. Come join me. Join me. Thank you. You know, Michael, I like to say that Michael and I met in 2008, and we were both peace crusaders.
Yes.
We were both fighting against the war together. We went out for peace many times, and Michael's a friend from many years ago. We've been through it a little bit with politics, with this up and down. We just want everybody to work together and get us to progress, as I mentioned earlier. Now, we have a few minutes left, and what I would like to implore any of you to do, if you would like to, we're talking about speaking out, we're talking about educating, like Carlos touched on this, we put this together. We're doing some education. I'm encouraging everyone to go online, go to Understanding Cannabis Facebook, pick up this video. This little video is adorable, and it, I don't know if I can just run it and just let it run. But I've been presenting this to some people around. I don't know if it's going to go or not. We'll see what happens. Anyway. Is it coming? Is it coming? Is it going to go? Oh no! Okay, this is presenter view. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, the fact is I've been showing this to people. I showed them at Maricopa County College, at Mesa Community College there. And people are overwhelmed with the information when we talk to people that don't know what's going on. When we talk to these people, they are just floored with this. What this is just the folks that I have been talking to the last few years, their questions all kind of combobulated into one little tiny simple thing that they can do in about 10 minutes. Because people, as you said, 17 seconds, people don't have time. Their lives are very busy. So this is a little something to get them on their way, to help them understand and take the edge off of hating cannabis, because once they understand cannabis, they actually kind of like it, and they go, gee, this was really wrong, and we
Wait
need
until
to
they
advance.
try it.
That's it, oh boy. And the people that are the most frightened are the ones that have never tried it. Once they try it, it's like, oh, this wasn't so
Do you
bad.
think Sheila Polk has ever smoked weed?
I'm positive she
Yes.
has not. Has she? Do you
Wow.
know an anecdote?
I know anecdotes of her law school buddies who smoked with her.
Yes.
So she has tried it, which is enormous. I can't believe it. I
The
didn't
way
think
she
she
talks
ever
about
did.
it, the way she talks about it sounds like she's never.
She's never
I'd like
touched
to-
this stuff.
I'd like to make a quick comment, if I may.
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
from being at the debate the other night and
Yes.
talking about the talking points here. Carlos had mentioned that one of the talking points was kids, our children, right? I don't have children, but I sympathize with the parents out there. What do you do? Is this harmful? Is it not harmful? Children are being helped. Children are being hurt. We don't know. We don't know what to do. Our first instinct is to protect our children. So I think that's huge. If we can hammer that talking point home, because it was Sheila Polk's most emotional statement is we need to protect our children, we need to protect our children, we need to protect our children. And that's what we're trying to do.
Yes.
So make it
Yes.
on the top of your mind. That statement right there, we are trying to protect our children. We are trying to keep them safe.
We absolutely are, because not only do we know that we're saving lives in states that allow this, because it's bringing down drug use, it's bringing down opiate overdose, according to the Journal for the American Medical Association. These are well-documented facts that we are saving lives in states that allow regulation. We also know that it's bringing down other drug use, other drug use. NIDA tells us this. So we're not only are we quelling the violence, we're quelling the deaths, we are also bringing down teen use. And we want to do a couple questions really quick, because I want to offer up your time for testimonies if anybody wants to do a testimony tonight. Carlos, did you have a quick question?
I'm good. I want to say that Sheila Polk and them, they want to represent parents, and when we have something like Mom Force available to us, our goal should be to get as many parents for legalization as possible. We will be making videos, we will be making informational cards about how this protects your kids, and if you want to be part of that, please help us, because we need as many parents as possible.
And tonight, you can do it tonight. I can turn off the camera, you can stand here and just tell us as friends, or if you would like to, do a testimony, 2 or 3 minutes. Anyone is invited to do that tonight now. And we have one more question.
Well, just a comment too. The debate was very, I think it was a good thing. Gave us a lot of points to focus on. Our former head of the Department of Health Services, Will Humble, told us, what's more harmful to someone's health than a felony? It impedes your ability to make money for the rest of your life. And money is the #1 indicator of well-being from a public health perspective. So you know what? You know what's more dangerous to my kid than marijuana? Getting a felony for having marijuana.
And to be committed to a life of poverty because they can't get a decent job and they have that awful thing on their record. Yes, sir.
Well, I had already talked a bit, but I was going to ask if Don Ream, who already has some practice in sharing his stories, would share a story of his life, because he's already been a focal point in Arizona's marijuana reform movement.
I absolutely would love to hear that, and I would like hands in the air of anyone who's interested in doing an on-film testimony tonight. Anyone? I would.
What part do you want me to share?
Why don't you talk about when you went to talk to our buddy Bill Montgomery?
And I'm going to stop it there. And then we're going to make a separate one, and I'm going to turn it back on. No, we're gonna introduce you separate.
I gotta be politically correct now.
Actually, do you want it off? Do you want to talk to the folks on your own?
Turn it off.
Okay. Good night, everyone.